Hi guys, welcome to Chrissy's Tiny Kitchen, and this is our first installment of Super Sunday. So I am someone who absolutely loves a good soup. I find it's a lovely starter. It can be a hearty meal with some nice rustic bread, grilled cheese, whatever. When I make my soups, I like to have them packed full of flavor, and it can be a meal in and of itself. So for today, I thought that I would start with a family favorite that is super simple. It is my leek and potato soup. This soup comes together very, very quickly, few ingredients, and is velvety, delicious, and super flavorful. So it is quite easy. You just need 6 leeks, 6 good sized potatoes, some olive oil, some chicken stock, salt, pepper, and a little bit of cream to finish. So in the pan, I'm gonna start, or in the pot I should say, start with a little bit of olive oil. A couple tablespoons we'll say. And put that light on there. And we're gonna put our leeks in there. I cut them up ahead of time, and I have them just sitting in a bowl with some cold water. Leeks can be quite dirty. The dirt can get into all the layers. So I like to sort of soak them, let any of the dirt sink to the bottom. But I will show you, I left one. I just wanted to show you on the leek, you don't want to use much of the dark green part. It's going to be pretty fibrous, kind of woody. So I will probably use, like on this, I'll probably slice up to about there, if you can see my little cut mark there. But the rest of it will not go to waste. It goes into my scrap bag that I will use to make stock for another soup another day. So I'm just gonna chop that off there. And yeah, there we go. So I'm just giving nice thin slices right across. This soup will be blended to finish, so you don't have to worry about things being perfect by any means, but I do like to start them off nice and thin. So just finish chopping that last one. Okay, perfect. And I'm gonna add that into the bowl just to give that a quick rinse with the others. So 6 leeks, 6 good sized potatoes. Pretty easy ratios to remember. Okay. Let that oil heat up here. I find turning the stove on often helps. Okay, so we'll let that oil heat up a little bit, and we're gonna put our leeks in. I'm gonna sweat them down a little bit, and then we'll put in the potatoes, salt and pepper, just let them cook down a little bit. And then we'll add in our chicken stock. So this is chicken stock that I made using leftover scraps of veggies and some chicken carcasses, pieces, and I love having that on hand. By all means, use the stuff out of a carton if you're in a pinch. It's still gonna come out tasting delicious. Okay, so I'm gonna get as much of that water out of the leeks as possible and drop them into our pot. In a pinch also, one time I wanted to make this soup, but I didn't have enough leeks, so I sort of did half leeks, half green onion, and you know what? You couldn't even tell. You couldn't even tell. So once again, green onion is a great substitution if you cannot get leeks or if you do not have enough. Perfect. Get all those little bits out of there. These leeks were actually really nice and clean, because sometimes you get them and they're just full of dirt between all of those layers. Okay. And I like to add salt right off the hop. That's going to help sweat them down, release their juices. We are going to be making a big pot of soup, so lots of salt and pepper. And again, to taste, and make sure that you do keep tasting as you go. Super important. A lot of people forget to taste as you go. You want to make sure that, you know, as you're adding things, that you're making sure that your flavors are where they need to be. All right, just gonna stir that around. So I'm stirring them on like a medium-high heat. Another thing you could do is, bacon also goes really nicely in this soup. I leave it out, but if you wanted to have bacon in your leek and potato soup, I would actually use some of the bacon fat at this point as well while you're cooking down the leeks. So I'm gonna let those continue to cook down a little bit. We don't want them brown, we just want them sort of soft and translucent. So we'll check back in a little bit and then we'll add in our potatoes. So here we have our leeks that are getting nice and soft. We're building up some nice flavors. I need a little bit too sticky. That's gonna add delicious flavor. Okay, so we're gonna add our potatoes in and finish up the main parts of the soup. So we have our leeks nice and soft. In go our potatoes. Just dump them right in there. Just a medium dice on them. This part really doesn't matter as well. The smaller the potato, the sooner they will cook. Just gonna give that a nice mix. It smells so good in here already. Okay, so we've got our softened leeks. I'm going to turn, we were at like a medium high, I'm going to turn it to medium. And I've got 4 cups of chicken broth going in. And I am also going to add some water. And probably, I'm going to put 4 cups worth. I'll see if I'll put it all in. Okay. I eyeball a lot of my soups, but I am trying to give you guys proper measurements. So that was 4 cups of broth. And 2 cups of water for now. I'm gonna throw the other. So 4 cups broth, 4 cups of water is what I have in here. And at this point, I'm just gonna quickly check for seasonings. Just grab a little spoon here. Definitely needs a little more salt. What I like to actually do if I'm using a chicken broth to salt my soups, I actually really like to use a chicken cube. It adds saltiness. It also amplifies that nice chicken broth flavor. So that's what I'm actually gonna throw in there. And a little more pepper. Okay, good. So at this point, just gonna stir, 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 stir. I'm gonna throw the lid on. And we're gonna let it do its thing for a little bit. So we're gonna cook that down. I'll probably gonna cook that for about 15-20 minutes, stirring occasionally, and then I'll check once the potatoes are nice and tender. Then we blend it up, finish it up with a little bit of cream, and again, check our seasonings, and we've got a delicious leek and potato soup. So let it cook away, and we will check back shortly. So it has been about 20 minutes, 20-25 minutes, and our potatoes are nice and soft. Oh, it smells so, so good. Ignore all this. I'm working on another recipe at the moment. So all I'm gonna do is turn the heat off. I'm going to use my immersion blender, and we're gonna blend this until smooth, adding a little bit of cream. So we're gonna go in with our blender. And I'm gonna start streaming in my cream. I'm gonna eyeball it, but I'm gonna say probably half a cup to a cup, but we'll see. It all depends on the consistency that you want to go for. I find sometimes with blended soups, they borderline on either baby food, where they're almost too thick, or they're too runny. So you're looking for just that nice in-between, thick enough that it sticks to your spoon, sticks to your ribs, but not so thick that you feel like you're literally eating baby food. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep on blending. And I like to keep moving it all around the pot, making sure that I'm getting all the chunks of potato. So I'm just going to stop at this point also to check my seasonings. I'm definitely happy with that. Yep, my salt level's good. Okay, a little more blending. We're looking for just that nice velvety smooth texture, which we have definitely achieved here. So I'd say I only put about maybe a third of a cup of cream in there. So this soup, what's nice is this is a gluten-free soup. If you wanted to leave out the dairy, you absolutely could. The potatoes will thicken it, and by blending them you'll get that nice creamy texture still. So you could leave the cream out, it just gives it a really nice finish. You could also, say you wanted it a little on the creamier side and you couldn't have the dairy, you could make yourself a quick little roux with a little bit of oil and flour to thicken it a little more if you wanted to. It's a pretty versatile soup. You know, you could substitute an almond milk in there if you wanted to. So really nice. You can kind of adapt this to whatever your dietary needs are. I always add the cream at the very end when I've turned it off the heat. Especially if you're using a high fat cream, you don't want the oil and that to separate from it. Gorgeous. So we've got our nice luscious soup. That's it, that's all. And you have a beautiful homemade soup. To garnish, I like to use just a little bit of green onion on top. You could definitely reserve a little handful of the leeks and crisp them up, do a little crispy leek on top. Like I had mentioned earlier, if you wanted to do a little bit of bacon in there, you could do a little bacon crumble on top, some croutons, a little cheese crisp. I keep it pretty simple. I just like a little bit of green onion, maybe a little more of cream, just at the end to finish it off. But that's it, that's all. So I'm excited to share this. I'm having my sister with her husband and little boy Callum over for dinner, and last time I made this, Callum went bonkers for it. So being a toddler, who knows, he might not like it today. So that's it. Potato leek soup, very, very simple. Give this a try. Try some of the variations if you need to adapt for your own dietary needs. And I hope you enjoyed our very first Super Sunday, and we'll have plenty more to come. Thanks for watching, guys.